You guys get really excited when I talk about Sapphic books, and I thought it would be really fun to talk about some of the Sapphic books I haven't read yet, so that by the time I read them or by the time they come out, you guys might have already added them to your TBR and we can talk about them together. Hopefully some of these are going to be our next 5-star reads. Let's start off with a couple that haven't yet been released. The Flower Court by Kate Elliott isn't due out to January, but I am already really excited. Just look at this cover. I love all these pinky purple tones and the slightly dreamy, hazy look of the illustration. This, of course, has that sapphic romance, but for me personally, it also has all sorts of political intrigue and mystery going on, and I think that is what's really made it stand out. In the Flower Court at the heart of the palace, Donovan embarks on a mission to discover the truth about his sister's disappearance with his loyal companion Killjoy. Careful not to enrage the ambitious Crown Prince Minilin, they form an unlikely bond with Sulia, a sharp-tongued palace attendant. Power struggles and the deadly spore threaten the Empire, challenging them to unravel the mysteries and rescue those unjustly imprisoned. Amid the chaos, Killjoy and Sula grow ever closer, leading them on their own adventure away from the shadows of the palace. Embracing their newfound freedom, they search for a hopeful future together away from the conspiracies of the Empire. I've never read anything by Kate Elliott before, but she's an author I've always meant to try, and this one seems like the perfect place to do that. In November this year, so a little bit closer, we have Lavender and Hemlock by Lili Wilkinson. This is another stunning pinky purple cover, going down more of a cozy romantasy vibe. Housemaid Tansy's days are all the same. Her only duties are to tend to her charge, old Lady Aster, and take care of their quaint cottage home. The seaside house is charming, peaceful, and above all, isolated. Tansy can't remember the last time she left, or when she arrived. Merit is a carrion knight, a servant of the dark entity, the Unmaker. She has been raised to be a monster, but when she's wounded during a routine raid, she stumbles through a mysterious door and finds herself tumbling into the oubliette. When the two meet, an instant connection forms and a crack appears in Oubliette's perfect facade. As the bond between Merit and Tansy grows and powerful feelings rise to the surface, Tansy must question not only what she wants, but who she is. Because the origins of this charming world are darker than she could imagine, and the key to uncovering them might lie with Tansy herself. So we have cozy romantasy and lady knights. It all sounds fantastic. The last one that isn't quite out yet is Melting the Ice Queen by Stephanie Burgis. This one is coming out in March next year, but already I am highly anticipating it. Technically it is the third book in her Queens of Villainy series, but I do think it sounds like it can be read entirely as a standalone. Queen Aliana of Norn is famous for her magical powers over ice and snow and her equally frosty self-control. The head of a powerful spy network and the gilding force between the Queens of Villainy, she makes every decision based on cool and unemotional calculations, including marriage to a woman she strongly suspects of keeping dangerous secrets. Hot-headed High Priestess Clotilda has been under the brutal control of her brother Otto, the Emperor of the Seraphine Empire. But behind the smile she's been forced to wait in public, a fiery passion for justice has been building, and an equally hot passion for Aliana herself. Clotilda proposes a marriage of convenience in their shared efforts to bring down her brother, but she's determined to melt all of Aliana's walls of ice because Clotilda has been keeping another secret too. The gods of the Imperial Pantheon have been speaking to her for years, and they've gifted her with 2 world-shaking truths. Aliana is her destined true love, and if the 2 wives don't find a way to work together as equals, side by side with their fellow Queens of Villainy, a storm of war and blood will leave all their futures in ruins. I always love an arranged marriage story, and this one sounds like it is going to do that in spades. I might try and read the previous books before I get to this one, but I also might just jump straight in. I have read Stephanie Burgis before, but I've only read her middle grade novels, the Cat and Coracle series, so I'll be interested to try something in her adult work. Since we're moving on to books that are already out, it seems sensible to start at the very beginning. One of the oldest books on my TBR is Jill by Amy Dillwyn. This came out in 1884, so it is a complete classic, and the only classic I can really think of that is not sapphic subtext, and I'm really excited to give it a try. We are following Jill herself, who is a gentlewoman who runs away to become a maidservant after her mother dies and her father is pursued by a Victorian gold digger. Once set up in London, she uses her position to become close to her new mistress. The description calls it a poignant story of same-sex desire and unrequited love, so I think it's going to be very bittersweet, And although I do think I'd have to be in the right mood to read it, I think it would be really interesting. Jumping forward, but still fairly old, is Sword of the Guardian by Mary Shannon. This one came out in 2006. It's the first in a series called The Legends of Ithria, and it's another book with politics and some lady knights. A shocking assassination creates an unconventional bond between a princess and her guardian in a kingdom filled with political intrigue, danger, and unexpected romance. Princess Shasta enjoys a pampered life of court dances, elaborate finery, and the occasional secret fencing match with her twin brother Derek. But in the midst of a birthday celebration, her world shatters when a mysterious assassin takes her brother's life. Shasta, the only remaining heir to the throne, narrowly escapes the assassin's blade thanks to the intervention of a travelling acrobat named Talon. With the threat of another attempt on Shasta's life imminent, her father declares that the young hero will become the princess's bodyguard. But what Shasta doesn't know is that her new guardian has a very well-kept secret. He is actually a she. Talon and Shasta soon glow closer than anyone, especially her father, could have predicted. Will the truth of her guardian's secret change their relationship forever? This does sound like a very early 2000s type of fantasy novel, but it also sounds like a lot of fun, and I really like these older illustration styles, so when I buy my copy, I really hope that I'm able to find this. Then in 2021, we had The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. This one has been on my physical TBR shelf. I've had this for years. I think it might have been a pre-order, and I still haven't got to it. I really do need to change that. It is a bit on the chunkier side, but I think once I get started, from what I've heard, I'm gonna love it. It seems very popular, it's always very highly rated, and I'm looking forward to giving it a try. Imprisoned by her dictator brother, Malini spends her days in isolation in the Harana, an ancient temple that was once the source of the powerful, magical, deathless waters, but is now little more than a decaying ruin. Priya is a maidservant, one among several who make the treacherous journey to the top of the Harana every night to clean Milani's chambers. She is happy to be an anonymous drudge so long as it keeps anyone from guessing the dangerous secret she hides. But when Malini accidentally bears witness to Priya's true nature, their destinies become irrevocably tangled. One is a vengeful princess seeking to depose her brother from his throne, the other is a priestess seeking to find her family. Together, they will change the fate of an empire. I am all about women's vengeance arcs, so this sounds fantastic. The Prince's Poison Vow by Hailey Turner has not just a sapphic relationship in it, but multiple queer romances, so I don't think that sapphic romance is necessarily the majority of the book, because I think there's maybe multiple queer romances that all get equal footing. Our summary gives us 4 main characters, and I think the 2 that are going to be most relevant to us are the Cog. Karis hears the siren song of clarion crystals better than anyone in Ashian. That skill for inventing has enriched her bloodline, but it's who she will become that will ultimately entangle her with the Clockwork Brigade. The Princess Emerald Rourke should have been raised to be queen of one country, instead she is a prisoner of another. Guided by a star god, she bids her time in a gilded cage, spinning a political web to gain a throne and start the war the world isn't ready for. She's gonna be doing politics from inside her gilded cage, she's gonna be all manipulative. I'm hoping that those 2 characters, if they are the sapphic romance, get quite a lot of page time. It is a chunky book, 640 pages odd, so even if there are other relationships, which I'm excited to see, then our girls should still get a fair amount of development. This is queer steampunk inspired epic fantasy, which sounds like it could be something a bit unusual. From 2003, we have a relatively short novella, just about 150 pages, When the Museum is Closed by Amy Yagi and translated by Yuki Tamija. Rika's new part-time job is to converse with a statue of the Venus de Milo, in Latin, every Monday when the museum is closed. Initially reluctant, Rika starts to enjoy her strange new job. She and the Venus talk about everything, they fall in love, and with the help of a statue of Artemis's hunting dog, eventually break free. I love books set in a museum. This one doesn't have the best reviews or ratings, but I personally think it sounds interesting and it's something that I could read very quickly. Also in 2003, we had The Shattered Lands by Brianna Nation. This one I do know, I did pre-order this. This one has been sitting on my shelf since it came out. 18 years after her disappearance, the princess has returned, but what is left of her kingdom? Sapphire finds herself in Erebus with a crown, a castle, and too many handmaidens to count. And so her life begins as the heir to the throne of a country she doesn't understand, a country ruled by magic and secrets. That's before she meets Ashes, a dark witch with the power to destroy Sapphire's life and kingdom. But Ashes also happens to be the only person that can help her discover the truth. And the answers might unravel the very world she's come to know. Again, this one does have some mixed reviews on it, but I do think it sounds like something I personally would enjoy, and I already own it, so I should probably prioritize reading it, right? Another relatively short novella from 2023, we had The Mimicking of Known Success by Malka and Older. This is around 170 pages, and it is the first in the Investigations of Mossa and Pleaty series. It is a cozy Holmesian romance that mixes in sci-fi futuristic elements. I think this one is going to be perfect for my level of sci-fi interest. I like them, but I don't really like hard sci-fi, and being shorter will definitely help me because I won't get bored midway through. I've enjoyed other sci-fi mysteries. They give me just enough of that sci-fi scratch without bogging me down. This one has been on my TBR, I think, for 2 different sci-fi months in various Novembers, so maybe this time will be the charm. On a remote gas-wreathed outpost of a human colony on Jupiter, a man goes missing. The enigmatic investigator Mossa follows his trail to Valdegad, home to the colony's university and Mossa's former girlfriend, a scholar of Earth's pre-collapse ecosystems. Pleaty has dedicated her research and her career to aiding the larger effort towards a possible return to Earth. When Mossa unexpectedly arrives and requests Pleaty's assistance in her latest investigation, the two of them embark on a twisting path in which the future of life on Earth is at stake, or perhaps their futures together. There are currently 3 books already out in the series, with another 2 already listed on Goodreads, so I'd really like to at least try the first one and see if I want to continue. 2003 was really the year for it. Heir of Fates by Katie Collupy is another really pretty purple cover, but this time it is epic grimdark. Centuries ago, both the gods and their magic were banished from the human kingdom of Mistwood. The kings have since violently erased the Church of the Nine, but when history has been erased, so has the truth, and an exiled god is done sleeping. Silas Scholar has never known his destiny among the Fates, a group of individuals blessed with the foresight of the gods, until he discovers his true identity, fearing that he will be locked in another gilded cage. Silas plans to escape. Mora Fiorni, an assassin and spy, has been haunted by a sentient shadow for as long as she can remember. Driven to pay reparations for her past, Mora is on a path of murderous vengeance against the land that cursed her and its king. Seraphine of Fire, a royal elven warrior, has been crafted into the perfect weapon to use against the human kingdom. Desperate to prove her worth, she sets out to destroy the monarchy from within. Narisha Adelise, an orphan taken from the royal family in Mistwood, has always been perfectly content with her position at court, until she uncovers a treasonous secret about her mother. Rune of Kings meets Game of Thrones in a world ravaged by war and hidden gods waiting to process it. This one seems to be a standalone, which feels fairly unusual in fantasies and makes it even more interesting to me. Then finally I have The Sapling Cage from 2004 by Margaret Killjoy. This one is on my R Fantasy bingo board for this year, so I really hope / plan to get to it. It is the first book in the Daughters of the Empty Throne trilogy, with a tale of earth magic, power struggles, and self-invention in an own voices story of trans witchcraft. Laurel has always dreamed of becoming a witch, learning magic, fighting monsters, and exploring the world beyond the small town where she and her mother run the stables. Even though a strange plague is killing the trees in the kingdom of Cyclone, and witches are being blamed for it, Laurel wants nothing more than to join them. There's only one problem. All witches are women and she was born a boy. When the coven comes to claim her best friend, Laurel disguises herself in a dress and joins in her friend's place, leaving home and her old self behind. She soon discovers the dark powers threatening the kingdom, a magical blight scars the land, and the power-mad Duchess is crushing everything between her and the crown. In spite of these dangers, Laurel makes friends and begins learning magic from the powerful witches in her coven. However, she fears that her new friends and mentors will find out her secret and kick her out of the coven or worse. This one got an awful lot of recommendations, an awful lot of great reviews when I was looking into things for my Our Fantasy Bingo board, so I do have really high expectations of it. I spotted the audiobook on Everand, so that's probably the way I'm going to be reading it. If you are interested in any of these books, let me know down in the comments which ones they are. Also, if you're interested in reading any of them along with me, let me know and we can arrange some kind of buddy read. If you don't have anything you want to say about the books in particular, then just add them to your TBR and leave me either a purple or a pink emoji in the comments. Thank you for watching. I hope I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.